Rock Salt Musecast Experience with Aaron and Dave. And on the Zoom live, it's Coffee House Keagan from Deadsin.
What's up? Oh my gosh, man. I got water today. I didn't get any coffee.
Where's your coffee, man? Where's your acoustic guitar?
I know. It's here somewhere. Somewhere.
Dude, my wife and I were listening to the show, and yes, I listen to my own show. We were listening to the show last night, and there's the bumper of you sipping the coffee and doing the Coffee House Keagan thing, and I had to tell my wife the story because she wasn't aware of the story, and we all got a laugh out of it. I said, I kind of expect Keagan Nelson to be that dude like in the movie Rockstar, when he's at the end and he's got the acoustic guitar and he's just up on stage doing that 90s coffee house thing. That's what when you say Keagan Nelson, that's what I think. But if you look in the back there, you can see a drum kit.
Oh yeah, we got drums everywhere. We got a kit over there. We got a kit in bags right here. Snare, E-kit. Yeah.
See that, Aaron?
We're
that's
all
the
over the place.
See, Aaron, that's the dirty underbelly. That's the backside when you pull back the curtain of these musicians. Is they just got instruments and cables and stuff running everywhere.
It's a nightmare. It is a nightmare. There's no such thing as a clean studio.
Absolutely not. When I break out my guitars and I gotta move amps around and stuff, I go, man, this drives me nuts. But it is what it is.
We had honestly like a 7-hour jam yesterday, and we had cables everywhere. I mean, you couldn't walk through here. Mic stands everywhere. I mean, it was a disaster. So I have a 2-year-old son, and he comes in and he's headbanging and all that. And it's like every time he walks in, we're like, oh, don't trip on this. Like we don't know what you're gonna unplug.
Right.
Yeah, it can be a little hectic in here, but it gets the job done.
Now you had a 7-hour jam. Did you guys come up with any new stuff that's cool?
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. I don't like to. I'm very self-deprecating, so I don't like to say anything I do is all that worthwhile. But it's some pretty exciting stuff. Yeah, we're
nice.
We're
so maybe some more
with
new stuff from
up.
Deadsin. Maybe some more new stuff from Deadsin.
Oh yeah. We're I would say probably 70% tracked on 2 new songs that we're gonna hope to get out here in the next few weeks, and not the greater part of a year.
70?
Yeah, 70% tracked.
Oh, I thought I thought you said 70 songs. I was like,
no.
That's a lot. These are gonna be like 1.5-minute songs, Aaron.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. No. We're getting close. We're getting close on releasing another one. So maybe we won't make everybody who actually cares wait almost a year before they hear something new from us again.
Everybody cares, Keagan. Everybody cares.
The
new song, I've listened to it. Keagan, what's the name of the new song?
The name of the song is Change.
I listened to it on Spotify, and I dig it. And you just released that, correct? When did that come out?
Yeah, August 13th. So last Friday.
Oh, so it's still fresh and steaming.
Yeah, it's got that new car smell still.
Yeah. Nice.
Not for us though, for everybody else.
Oh yeah, because you jammed it for 7 hours.
We wrote that song. We wrote the majority of that a year ago. So yeah, we were kind of, once it released, it was almost just like, oh, okay, finally we get to move forward. Yeah, we kind of felt like we were in a standstill for the better part of 2021. So I feel like now the wheels are on the ground and we're going to start rolling.
Now, who produced this? I think last time we spoke, I'm not sure, off air or on air, you had someone working with you on the new stuff.
Yeah. So Josiah Prince from Disciple, the way our process worked up to this point is we would write a song and we would send it to him, and he would kind of be like our consultant, like, hey, this sucks. Hey, this is cool. That sort of thing. That way we're not, just wasting our time, So he would be our consultant, and then then once we got like the green light, an outside professional opinion, then we would go in and track it and really hone it in. And then he also mixed it. So the mix you hear is Josiah, and then it was mastered by a man named Kalen Orr, who plays in the band Ravenhill, and they're a band out of Dallas now, but they've been all over Nashville, Chicago, and very good band.
With
Y'all
you your
should check
first
those
show,
guys
right?
out.
They played with you your first
Yes,
show,
sir.
right? Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
sir.
Oh, okay. Great.
So now
Yes,
when
sir.
you got a song and you send it over to Josiah, and you said he's pretty honest with you about what's good and what's bad. Does he ever like just, says, hey guys, give me like a week and I'll come right back. Okay. And then he brings you a song and you're like, whoa, man, this isn't even the song we wrote. This is clearly a Disciple song. No, trust me, this will work for you.
Well, we are so far from Disciple genre wise that luckily we haven't had to do that, which I think is kind of cool that we do work with Josiah. If you listen to a lot of the stuff that comes out of his studio, he's great at what he does, but a lot of it has very similar sonic vibes and tonalities and writing structures and stuff, that upbeat hard rock vibe that Disciple brings you.
Right.
There's a lot of bands in that vein in Christian rock, and we don't really sound like that.
Right.
So like going to him, it's like, yeah, we hear what we hear, but you don't touch this very often. So what do you hear? And it kind of brings a balance to, we have our own biases and he may have his, but they kind of get canceled out because it's not something that he does all the time.
Well, it's kind of like Charlie Peacock producing a song. He's got a certain style that when you hear a Charlie Peacock song, hear him doing a song, you can clearly say that's Charlie Peacock. But when he produces a song, like say back in the 80s when he was doing the 77s production, you might not have known it was a Charlie Peacock produced song, but when you find out, you go, I can hear Charlie in that song. Yeah.
So I was this has been years ago. Brian and I have been, our singer, we've been friends forever. And I told him, I said, there's a difference between me pushing a button on a console or me moving a fader and Quincy Jones.
Right.
I could do it the same amount, but the way he does it is magic. And the way I do it is a bedroom demo.
Yeah. Well, certain people have that Midas touch.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
And you're mentioning like Quincy Jones, but there's lots of great producers, that Rick Rubin being a huge producer. Of course,
Brendan O'Brien.
Yeah. Even Rick Ocasek from the Cars, who's since passed, but he did a lot of songwriting and producing for songs that you probably never would have guessed that he was involved in.
Yeah. So. And I think that's one of the cool parts of the broader music industry is, these people get paid, and when you're in that vein, you get paid handsomely, but just to be able to work together. And it's just like the Josiah thing. We sound nothing like Disciple. We're not in that vein. We don't even live in Nashville, but yet we can work together because of music. Obviously he gets paid for his time, but it's still we're all coming together to make a great product.
Yeah. So Disciples out in Nashville, is that where they are?
I think they're in Kentucky, but somewhere around there.
Yeah, I think Kevin lives in Kentucky, and then two other guys, Josiah and the other guitarist, live in Nashville, and I think Joey, I think he lives in South Carolina. So they're all within a good drive of each other.
Okay, when I go visit Nashville, Keagan, I'm gonna hit you up, and I want Josiah's address, and I'm just gonna go, hey, Keagan sent me. Says he wants those tapes.
Go check out that studio, man. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
The former Disciple guitarist, I forget his name, he's working with Zana on her new project.
Oh, really?
And I'm looking forward to that because I think he does good work. And so, but it's so nice to, go ahead.
You brought up Zana. So the guy who mastered our project, who plays in Ravenhill, he also plays bass in Zana.
So really?
Wow. Full circle.
Wow.
There we go.
Everything ties together in a nice little package, Aaron.
Yeah.
Hey, so you mentioned the new song Change, and you said you had started writing it last year, which clearly is COVID pandemic era, you know, we were all in
Oh, yeah.
lockdowns and everything like that. So I had always said that I thought some of the worst music, and I've been proven wrong, some of the worst music was going to come out of the COVID pandemic because everybody was locked up, no inspiration or anything like that. And I like I said, I've been proven wrong because a lot of these bands are coming out with great stuff like Vector. We talked about Vector, and Saving Jackie has some great stuff coming out, and Reborn has great stuff. You guys got great stuff. Did you find it difficult to be inspired to write change during the pandemic?
So no, the pandemic had almost no effect on us musically. And the reason is, I think, because the thoughts and the ideas for the band started in 2019. So that was like this rebirth of inspiration for music, for God. Like it was like this, like everything was kind of like funneling into this, like this is what we're going to end up doing. And when 2020 hit, it was right around February. I was working on a different project, producing it, and it was just like this window of opportunity started to come, and the ball started rolling. So by April of 2020, it was like, well, let's just do this. So Brian and I work together, so it's not like we need to be quarantined from each other. You know, we work for the Postal Service, so we're essential, right?
Right.
So we never stopped. And so if you take what we had kind of experienced through 2019 and then take that into the beginning of 2020, you know, we never slowed down. We didn't have it wasn't like we were like watching the news and being depressed and like, well, I don't even want to pick up my guitar. It was more of a like, we're invigorated to get going when maybe other people were kind of like so like Disciple, for example, I know we talk about them a lot. They were scheduled to come through our town, Fort Worth, in March of 2020, and their whole run got canceled. You know, so I could see where a band like that, where you're established and that's your job, would maybe take a step back and be like, oh man, this is really bad. Whereas for us, it kind of canceled everything else, and we were like, let's go.
Yeah, you know, I don't think a lot of people realize this, and Striper has made a lot of posts about, you know, because they figured out other ways to make money selling merch and doing their Patreon, and they do a lot of if you jump on Patreon, like Perry Richardson will get on there and chat with you and stuff like that, and you know, it's all for a fee. But you talk about bands like Disciple and even Striper, that this is their full-time job, this is how they feed their family, and everything is getting canceled. They're not allowed to make money.
Yeah.
And you know, where bands like Deadsin, where you know, this is your second job.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about, oh, how am I going to pay for food to put on the table? Instead, you can hit the ground running once once the restrictions lift, which in Texas, I don't know if you guys were ever really restricted, but
yeah, we had a good moment last, I would say from maybe March to the beginning of the summer, where things were a little weird here in Texas, but we opened up rather quickly and haven't really looked back. So
yeah, that's good.
It is what it is. Yeah,
that's good. I don't want to get into the whole mask mandate thing, but you know,
no,
it's different
I actually
in
got
each state.
COVID.
Did you really?
Got COVID. Yeah, last month. We played a small benefit show. It was for a ministry that serves the homeless. They feed the homeless and they clothe them and all that, and they do great work. And they'd kind of fallen on hard times. Their pastor and his wife had actually had COVID and were hospitalized. So it was this this like on and off situation. Are we going to play the show? Or are we not going to play the show? So the people who asked us to play it, they said, we're gonna go forth. We're gonna change venues, and we're going to play it, and we're going to raise some money for these people because they need it. And so we said, okay, let's do it. Right? We took the safety protocols and all that. Let's go ahead and get it done. And so we do. We play. It's a great time. We raised quite a bit of money, and end up leaving there with COVID. And
It's the gift that keeps on giving, Aaron.
it was unfortunate, mostly because of the benefit was for people who had it, and then we went out of our way to avoid it, and still ended up getting it. But we made it through it. And we ended up having to miss out on one show because of it. But it is what it is, you know. It's just one of those things. You just got to keep rolling.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw you were supposed to play August 8th, and then I didn't see anything.
Yeah.
So that's the show.
That's the show we ended up having to miss. Yeah.
Because Reborn was on that, I think, and Stop the Sun was on that. Same ticket.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if Reborn was on it.
Okay.
They might have been, but I know Stop the Sun was on it. Yes, sir.
Okay.
And yeah, I that day it was going on, I was seeing pictures and videos, and you know what FOMO is, the fear of missing out. I would definitely felt like I was missing out because we were super excited to play that. As soon as they called us and asked us if we wanted to be a part of that, we were like, let's go. You know, we were planning it, you know, looking at hotels and all that, because it's a good drive from here. But yeah, it was super disappointing. It was super disappointing.
What upcoming shows do you have coming up?
We've got I know we've got 3 on the books right now. October 16th, we're playing a somewhat of a local show. It's in Richardson, which is a suburb of Dallas. So that's probably our only local show. That's October 16th. And then October 30th, we're playing Reformation Fest in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. It's up there around Tulsa.
Yeah, I've heard about it. That looks like
that's
a
gonna be
fun
a great
time.
Is that where Bartles and James are? Bartlesville?
They got Chaotic Resemblance is on that show. I think Zana's on that show.
Wow.
Yes,
oh my gosh, that's, you know,
Brian,
Keagan, get us some backstage passes, Keagan.
Can you just hold your phone and stream that all day and we can watch? You know,
sure.
We're here in California. We don't have anything like that.
All right.
Yeah.
You know,
so
Brian,
Keagan, when you're out there with Chaotic Resemblance and Zana, drop our name.
Please.
Oh, yeah. Sure, I'll
total.
just walk around showing them this video.
There you go. Okay. Just look, hey, there's a couple of guys out in California. They do this little show. They love you guys. You need to check them out. They talk about you all the time. That sort of thing.
I think the Protest is on that too. Man, it's
no, I don't think the Protest is. Spoken,
okay.
Relent, and then
Relent,
Brian Head Welch is speaking. He's like the feature.
Wow.
Oh
yeah.
Oh,
that would be fantastic to see.
They're going to have so he's going to speak, and then they're having a screening of his documentary, Crazy Loud Love or something like that. Yeah, it's going to be a good time. It's going to be that whole day. You know, it's going to be good. It's going to be a really good time.
We're very excited for that. Need a couple days to recover from that.
Yeah, and it's a good drive from us too. So yeah, it's going to take up the weekend.
Yeah, and then you have a show with Disciple coming in
That's
November,
right?
right?
November 19th. Yep.
Oh, good for you. Congratulations.
It's exciting. It is.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's a little nerve-wracking, but it's exciting. Yeah.
All right. So just remember, Kevin. Hey, Kevin.
Come
here. Let me talk to you for a second.
That's right.
Give me
you
on
have a writer, I have a writer too.
Yeah, just give me on FaceTime with Kevin. Just you FaceTime me and then just stick it in his face.
Yeah.
This dude wants to talk to you, Kevin.
Yeah. So back to your song Change. So what's that song about?
That's a good question. So the song itself, if you listen to it isolated, right? You don't know who we are. You don't know anything. It might sound a little strange. Like, what are you even talking about, right? So the first line that you hear is, what good is a dead tree? Let it burn, right? So if a tree is not bearing fruit, what good is it, right?
Right.
So what does that mean to anybody? And then we get to the chorus right after that, and we say, you say you know him. You say you love him, but you live, though, no different, with hopes of forgiveness. So if you listen to that isolated, what are we talking about? Well, we're really, that song is about us. When I hear that song, my kids listen to it. I try not to listen to it. I'm burnt out on it, if I'm being honest. But when I listen to it, when I focus on it, when I play it, it's like I'm looking in a mirror. If I profess to be a follower of Christ, a disciple of Christ, am I living in the way that he has told us to? So, right before his ascension, he says, all authority is in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Go and and disciple to all the nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, and teach them to obey. And I think that's one of the things that, as professing Christians in this Americanized, modern, almost watered down version of Christianity that we have, that we've missed, that Christ does have the authority over what we are doing, and we are to obey. And that doesn't mean works or anything like that. It's more of a matter of, if I'm a Christian, are you going to be able to know that I'm a Christian without me having to outright tell you, hey, I'm a Christian? Am I going to be bearing the fruit of Christ in my life? And that's pretty much it. I mean, it's we're very straightforward with it. I mean, we like to do that with our songs. We don't like to beat around the bush. One of our kind of our things that we tell each other and when we're working on stuff is say something. Make sure you're saying something. And that's really what we wanted to get across. And I'm not pointing my finger at anybody. I'm looking in a mirror and I'm checking myself daily. Are you bearing the fruit of Christ like you profess to be? Really just examine yourself. And really in the bridge, I know I'm going like line by line, but in the bridge, if we say we are his, then it must show and we must grow. That's the sanctification and the changing that happens within us as believers. And that's something I wholeheartedly believe. And it's hard. It's very hard. Sin comes way more naturally than anything good, and the good that is in us only comes from Christ. And so that's the focus of the song. And we've had some good conversations that have come from that. And I'm happy with it. And that's pretty much it.
Wow. Well, it's asking the question. It's not pointing the finger. It's making you ask the question about yourself. Yeah.
But I know somebody could take it as if I'm on my soapbox and I'm looking down and I'm saying, you say you, when really it is, in fact, me looking in a mirror. And Brian, he's the one who's singing it mostly, looking in a mirror. So check yourself. The Bible says that the judgment that comes starts within the church, and the church are the professing believers. So check yourself first and then move forward. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah. I think that you have to live as you were saying, a life where people know by your fruit that who you are.
That's it.
Right.
That's what we're called to do.
And I've worked at a place that was it was a health place, and it had a standard of all the people that worked there had to be healthy. They had to be thin and, not
sure,
that sort of thing. And I get it. It's because that's the image you want people to go, yeah, exactly. I want to be like that. So that's kind of what you're saying here is you want people to say, I want to be like that. I want what you got.
Yep. I mean, that's it. A lot of times we look at the Bible and we think it's just this rule book that's here to hold us down, when it's not. Because if we just listen to what it says, we have Christian liberties to a point. We must, just be obedient to Christ. If he is Lord over all and authority has been given to him, he tells us to obey. And just obey.
It's like a guide.
It's that simple.
It's not a rule book. It's like a guide. You're saying, okay, I'm going to put it in a different metaphor here. Okay, I want to lose 50 pounds. How do I do that? Oh, well, here's the book. Here's the guide for you. And if you follow this, and we know you're going to stumble, we know you're going to go for that cookie every once in a while, but if you follow this, you'll achieve your goals.
Sure. Because that's not to say that we're earning our way by our obedience. We have our obedience because he has given us the way, because that's the grace of salvation. So we are obedient because we are saved, not I'm obedient in order to be saved. That's where
Right.
grace from Christ comes in. So it can be tricky. And that's where people think of works and all that, like you're earning your salvation. It's like, no, I'm obedient because he told me to obedient. He died so that I may live for him.
Right. And I think that's where, I know you're just about to say something, Aaron, but I think that's where a lot of the judgmental Christians come in, where, you know, they're looking at other people going, you need to do this in order for this to happen. And really, they shouldn't be doing that. And that is a big turnoff for people going to church, is the judgmental people that are in church.
Oh, yeah.
And they just don't want to be judged, and they don't want to, you know, for whatever reason, they don't want confrontation or whatever. They just don't want to be a part of that. And I think that's where a lot of people are not going to church, is because they just don't want to be around that. That was me for a long time.
I think it takes some people just a little longer to get there in their walk, but everybody has their own walk and has the way that God speaks to them and what do's and don'ts or whatever. But I always find when I'm Christ-centered, my life is a lot easier. My relationship with my wife flows a lot better when I'm Christ-centered and focusing on his word. And, you know, Keagan, you don't know this, but we mentor about 6 other kids that are not ours. And some of them are in relationships. And I tell them, I said, hey, if you just live according to his word and read it, your relationship with your girlfriend is going to go a lot better. And I go, you know, I ask them, do you like how me and my wife have our relationship? And they go, yeah. I go, well, we live a Christ-centered, you know, marriage. And that will work better for you if you follow this guide, as Dave, what you're saying, this guide for your life. And so, and I tell them, the Bible's not a book of don'ts. It's actually a book of do's. And a lot will come if you live by it.
You know, if you buy a piece of furniture at IKEA, it comes with an instruction manual.
Hey, we're guys. We don't read those instruction manuals.
Yeah, I know. But the instruction manual has a couple of things, like, you know, it'll have the cross through something, like don't drill that screw into this, you know, and it's not we don't call it a don't manual. We call it an instruction manual. It's just saying,
that's right.
If you do this, that's going to break. So you probably don't want to do that.
Yeah. I liked what you were saying, Aaron, about living, you know, it almost feels easier when you're living a Christ-centered life and basing it. So my family and I, we recently did a Bible study on the book of Philippians, and that whole book is about contentment in Christ. Paul's in prison writing a letter to the church at Philippi, and all he talks about is joy and rejoicing because of Christ. He's content. They send him a gift when he's at Thessalonica, and he thanks them for it. But he says, I have an abundance. But really, he's got nothing. He's in prison. And when we look at our possessions and what we place our value in, you know, like I'm in a room full of thousands of dollars worth of equipment and everything, right? But in the grand scheme of things, it's nothing, right? Because what I need to be content with is Christ. If all of this disappeared, would I be as content as Paul is in prison, speaking to the church at Philippi about joy, you know, to be content? And so when I heard you say that it's almost easier living a Christ-centered life, it's because less matters. Distractions don't matter as much because I can look forward and know I have Christ. And that's just hit me so much recently, that thinking about that book, and I've listened to different sermons on it, and just contentment and to have joy in Christ and Christ alone. Like I said earlier, he died so I may live for him. And Paul rings that home. It's only 4 chapters. If I haven't bored you to death, maybe you can read it when we get done. It's just it's amazing to think of the conditions that he was facing, and he could still say, I pray with all joy for you. You know, first century prison. I couldn't imagine it. I honestly could not imagine it.
Right.
And he is content with Christ and Christ alone. And it's amazing. It really is amazing.
Yeah, the internet went out of my house for 4 days.
Oh no, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Aaron. Oh, how did you make it through?
At first it was like, oh, this is a bummer. And after a while, we just we actually talked, and did some things.
Hey, this is kind of nice. We
Yeah.
should do this more often.
Yeah. I mean, my anniversary for 31 years was this week. And so we went out to dinner and
Congratulations.
all that. Now it came back on the other day and we caught up on our shows we watch, but I was like, this is okay. I can get maybe used to unplugging every once in a while, but most people would be like, oh man, the internet went out. How are we going to live? Right. And as you were saying, Paul was in prison. Yep. Paul was in prison. Like, hey,
life's good, man.
Hey, as long as I have Christ, I'm okay.
You know what I say when when people talk to me about, how's your day? I go, hey, look, I'm above ground. I got that going for me. So, one thing that I've said to people, because it helped me at one point, I was, I'm not going to say I was in a bad place, but I was just kind of lost, where I was kind of going, what is my purpose? What am I doing with my life? And I started getting up in the morning, and instead of going, I got to go to work today, I started going, hey, I get to go to work today, because there's people that don't get to. They Amen. Went to bed thinking that they were going to go to work the next day, and they ain't going to work.
That's right.
Yeah. So you got to be thankful
Count
for what
blessings.
You got. And,
yes, sir.
Going back to the know you by your fruit thing, it made me think of this character that was in Reno when I lived there. There was a number of different characters in Reno that you would encounter when it was still a much smaller town. But there was this one dude, and I don't know his name. I forget his name, but everybody called him the Waver. And he wrote a book called I Walked to the Moon and Back, and everybody waved because they estimated that he walked that many miles. And what he would do was he would walk from Reno to Carson City, which is about a 30-minute drive, every single day. And he was this hippie guy, and he had his knapsack type thing, and he would just walk the freeways and everything and wave at everybody. And he just wave and smile. And when I met the guy, because he signed my book, he was one of those guys, when you just met him, he just emanated this, peace and love type of feeling. You've been around people like that, right, Keagan?
Sure, of course.
As soon as you met him, that, you're like, wow, I just get this really warm feeling from this guy. And, all he did was say hello. Yeah. But he's since passed. But you just knew. And people didn't, I'm sure somebody messed with him here and there. You can't walk that many miles and not be messed with, but people knew who he was, and they loved him. They'd honk at him, wave at him. And it was like, I haven't seen the Waver in like a week. What's going on? I haven't seen this dude. Where is he? People just loved him. And if you can, that's going back to, bearing fruit and people just knowing you by your fruits type of thing.
Yeah, I think it is important, and especially in a time like this where everything is a fight. Everything.
Yeah.
You can't go online. You can't, go to the grocery store. You can't read the news. Everything is a fight. So just take a step back, realize what you've got, and just bear the fruit of Christ. If you profess it, bear the fruit. Just bear the fruit. Yeah. They will know us by our love. It's really a simple concept, but very hard to enact.
True.
It can be very hard, because like John Calvin says, our heart are perpetual idol factories. We are always destined to be enamored with something other than Christ, and that shows in how we live and how we walk. And it's much easier to fight, I can start an argument with anybody about anything with a few clicks,
Right.
So I just
sometimes that's fun.
And that's a problem.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's fun.
Yeah.
But
I just, we just kind of want to highlight the fact that as Christians ourselves, professing believers, we're told to obey, and people should be able to see that in us.
I agree.
First and foremost.
Well, the new song is called Changes, right? Change. Sorry, Change.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Changes is that David Bowie song.
Little different.
Yeah, just slightly. Hey, Change from Deadsin. It's on Spotify, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And are you guys going to do a video for it or anything like that?
Well, it was planned, and then yours truly got COVID and ruined all of it.
They should. So they could just animate you in
3 weeks.
We'll just get somebody to draw a picture of Keagan, and they can just hold it there.
Yeah, just like when you go to baseball games and they've got the big heads of the players that they're
exactly.
We'll just have them do that. Yeah, my big ugly mug.
Where can everybody find Deadsin?
Deadsin Band on everything. Deadsinband.com. Deadsin Band on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all that good stuff. We're there, and we like engaging. And one of the things I like is, while we've received support from people for the song, what I would really like is if someone doesn't like the song, and from a lyrical perspective, because we've heard from a few, let's talk about it. We're here for open dialogue. We don't want to shut anything down, and because I think I touched on this the last time we spoke. I think there's a difference between being Christians in a band and being a Christian band. Right. There's a line there. I really believe there is. And so it's my conviction that if I'm going to claim to be a Christian band, I need to be centered on Christ. And what that entails is being open for dialogue, because I'm not always going to say the nice, easy thing to say. It's not going, I find optimism in looking in the mirror and saying, if you say you love him, you need to show it, right? But not everybody will, because they might feel some sort of way from hearing something like that. So just having open dialogue, like we have a song called Elevate, and it's a passive aggressive punch back at a lot of the false teachers and things that we see, like the prosperity gospel that has hurt millions of people around the world. And we got a lot of brushback from that, but it also comes with a lot of conversation. Why are you maybe talking about this individual in a negative way? Or why do you seem to be poking fun? We need to be able to have those conversations. And while not every song we've written is supposed to, you don't have to put boxing gloves on to listen to our stuff, it's about dialogue. So like our song Recreate is a testimony. That's something we should be able to talk about and share. Like, this is a testimony of one of our members. We can talk about those things. So we don't want it to, because we're all connected. I'm speaking with you. I'm living in the sticks. That's why my internet keeps messing up. I live out here in the middle of nowhere, North Texas, and y'all are in Sacramento. It's incredible. Yeah. Who would have thought, right? Paul's over there writing letters, with barely any candlelight in prison. We're seeing each other face to face in almost real time. So we can have conversations.
Aaron told me today, and I was like, wow, we picked up a listener in Russia, which is cool.
Isn't that incredible?
That's amazing.
Incredible. Yeah.
So that's very cool.
So when you listen to our stuff, let's talk about it. We're all connected. We've got phones that are, connected to everyone in the world at one time.
Well, let's talk about it. It's kind of like,
that's really what I would like to see come from.
It's kind of like going to the gym. Is when you go to the gym and you're pushing weights, all you're really doing is you're ripping these muscles apart, and they're healing up and they're getting bigger, and you become stronger for it. And that's kind of what we need to do with speaking to each other. Is if you don't push that weight and rip that muscle, it's it's not necessarily enjoyable to come out of there and going, I can't walk, or I can't lift something because
Right.
I
Yeah.
overdid it. But in the end, it's good for you. And that's kind of what we got to do with talk is you gotta get past that uncomfortable part. And the only way you're going to grow is, talking to people and accepting their opinion as they accept your opinion. And that's where we've gone wrong with this social media thing is, well, I don't like your opinion, so you're canceled type of thing. I don't know if Keagan heard that.
Yeah. It's almost like we've completely regressed and gone back to like tribalism.
Yeah.
Like we all have our own little sects, even though we're all connected by this incredible technology. We're all individualized and put into these groups where I can't talk to you because you think Bermuda grass is better than St. Augustine.
Yeah.
Like how ridiculous is that?
And that's what we become as a society, though. It's
ridiculous.
It is.
That happens.
Keagan, thank you for coming on the show. Change is the
thank
new
you
song.
for having me.
Yeah.
And
anytime.
You're gonna have a couple more coming up.
I'm hoping, if you heard our conversation last time, timing is not something that goes well with this band. so we're hoping that within the next 3 to 4 weeks, we've got another one out.
Nice.
That's great.
Yes, sir.
So hey,
we're very close.
Everybody listening, follow them on Instagram. They announce when the songs are coming out on Instagram for sure, Facebook and all that. So
yes, sir.
Follow them. Go see them. If you live in Oklahoma or close to Oklahoma, go see them with a lot of other great bands in Oklahoma. When's that show again? In
October 30th.
October 30th, right by
Bartlesville, Oklahoma.
Okay, go. If you're listening to us and you live that close, go see them.
Nice.
So.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Keagan. Coffee House Keagan from Deadsin.
Oh man.
Appreciate you
clapping.
Yep. Appreciate you coming on the show.
Thanks, Keagan, very much.
Thank you all very much.
All right. Thanks.
And here comes a song from Deadsin 2, the new one. So if you're listening to Musecast Experience, here it is.
Keagan, thanks again.